The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyro Media Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
Hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to She is Shenomenal. I am your host, Tasha Champion, the Shenomenal coach of Champion Empowerment. Always teaching you to love that super champion you already are. We are back with a new episode, and okay, I say it all the time. I'm excited to chat with my guest today that you guys are going to meet today. Asoniti Foster is just such a phenomenal powerhouse and voice. She truly stands for the Alzheimer's community, and you're going to learn so much today. So if you think that you can't be affected by this until after your 60s and 70s, then you definitely want to watch this show. And you may want to text the link out to a few other people and say, hey, join this, watch this episode, because Asoniti is bringing so many phenomenal gems and information so that you guys can really understand the effects of Alzheimer's. But before we get into all of that, I want to just shout out happy Pride Month, happy June, happy everything rainbows that are beautiful. I let me say this in the sweetest way. I can't name all the letters LGBTQ, ABC. I don't know, because I really want to get to a point where people don't have to have these identities of letters. Like, why can't this person just be the person that they are? Why do they have to identify? And I think as soon as we can get to that level, we can stop having all of this, like hatred and all of this stuff. Like, let people be people. And I feel like there was a post on Facebook the other day with Dr. Dante Morrison, and he was talking about like how people are so into, well, why doesn't this person just come out? Why don't they just say they're gay? And it's like, well, did you have to come out and say you were straight, or did you have to come out and say anything? I feel like people focus on like this gaydar prize. Like, see, I told you they were gay, and I knew that. It's like, do you get an arrival at your door, like a package with a bowl that you won because you felt like you knew something and now you get the truth? Like, why do people have to come out to anybody? Like, let people be people. So I am happy I support just about everybody, right? But I'm very happy to support the gay community, bisexual community, whatever all of the things are, because at the end of the day, I see people as people, and I really hope you do too, because I don't want people to keep feeling like they have to identify. I want them to look in the mirror and just be like, I'm just me, because the rest of us do it, and we shouldn't be asking anybody else to identify a certain way. Let people be people. All right. But however you celebrate this month, I got you. So that, and then I also wanted to really shout out myself for a moment. I just completed a 10-week workshop for a parent resource center with a school district, and it was just amazing. It was my first time, and I was teaching positive parenting through enhanced self-care. So really, I was teaching these moms how to connect with themselves and how to just really take care of themselves to be more present parents and more positive parents by first looking in the mirror and saying, what do I need for myself? What am I projecting onto my child that maybe I haven't healed? And so we had a wonderful time, and the feedback, I'm reading all of the reviews, and I gotta say, your girl is really proud of herself. I mean, they have asked that this workshop be longer than 10 weeks the next time. They talked about how much they learned. They talked about how much they didn't realize they were holding on to. So it was going into the depths of their soul. And I'm so honored that I was chosen to bring this workshop into fruition. And so many women responded and had a wonderful time. Yes, there were tears. Yes, there was laughter. But at the end of the day, your self-care is everything. And self-care is more than just the makeup, hair, and nails. It's really about going into the pockets of you that you think maybe you healed and they really aren't quite healed yet. And when you get triggered, it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just, oh, here's another opportunity for me to heal. Right. So that's what we explored. And it just melted my heart. I'm so beyond grateful to God that He put me in that position at the right time. And I was able to be the facilitator, and have already been told that I will be back next year. So I'm just shouting out myself because I'm super proud. And I always tell you guys, make sure that you are bragging on yourself, being proud of yourself, because you should be the first one to celebrate all of your accomplishments. Okay. Anyway, so that's it. That's all that I have for you guys right now. I want to like fly through a commercial break so that we can get back and chat with Asoniti Foster. She has done so much research. She's done a documentary. She's going to really help us understand how gratitude plays a major part in Alzheimer's. Like, we're going to talk about it all. And this is really something that, whether it affects you personally, like whether you're ever diagnosed, you probably know someone that is, you probably have family members or friends have family members, someone you know has been affected. And so you want to be right here to learn all that you need to know, and all that is going to help and support you. So stay right here. Go text a friend to tell them to come, and then stay right here. We'll be right back with Asoniti Foster.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station.
Welcome back. As we prepare to get this conversation started, let's bring in Asoniti Foster. Hi, Asoniti.
Hi, Tasha. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful and completely excited and honored to have you as my guest today, just to drop so much knowledge. Hey, Cupcake. Yes, I see your message about the song. But thank you all who's joining and who's watching, because Asante is really going to drop just a lot of knowledge today. I was able to speak with her, what, a little over a month ago, and just in a very short conversation, she was telling me all about the things that she found in her research and just what she shared. I'm like, no, you got to be a guest on the show. Other people need to know this information, because a lot of times we don't think about things until it happens to us. So before we start talking about it, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Asante Foster?
Well, first, thank you for having me on your show. Asante Foster is me from San Francisco. Uh, moved out to Los Angeles with dreams of being a big time writer producer. And I was on that track, but then was met with some disturbing news about a great aunt of mine who needed some help caring for her because she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so at that time, I had lost my dream, due to circumstances that were out of my control. And I started helping her, and I fell in love with helping her. She repeated herself 50 million times, but it didn't bother me. You know how, like a kid repeating themselves over and over, you easily annoyed. But with
Right.
her, it was just like, she would ask, "What time is it?" It's 3:30. You know, 10 seconds later, "What time is it?" It's about 3:30. I always responded to her like it was the first time she asked the questions. So that made her feel comfortable. And it just made me feel good to help somebody, even a family member, that didn't want anything from me, just to be there. But the
Right.
more she kept talking, the more I kept thinking, like, wait a minute, both my grandmothers died from this, other great aunts, other uncles, great aunts and great uncles. Like, can I get this? And that was like my aha moment right there. Ever
Okay.
since one, that was it for me to start really researching this and just seeing, okay, wait, this I'm getting older. This is in my family tree, you know. Um, and I discovered a couple of things that were like it's so shocking to me. Like no one has ever put it like this. One, women are more likely than men to get Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Two, African American women, we're twice as likely than the national average to get it. And a person under the age of 65, so let's say 30s, 40s, can be on an Alzheimer's track and not even know it.
That was the most shocking for me. That absolutely was the most shocking for me, because now I'm sitting around like, did I forget something? Oh my gosh, like what does this mean? But talk to us a little bit more about that. What, like, have they been able to track what you could be experiencing right now that may be more telling by the time you could be diagnosed?
Right. So to speak to your point, for me, it was like, okay, what does that look like? I can be on an Alzheimer's track right now, right? Well, it looks like mental illness with depression, anxiety, stress, lack of physical activity, lack of proper sleep, lack of prayer or meditating, having a belief,
Mhm.
lack of social involvement, right? There's like a plethora of things that can place you, I'm sorry, on that track. And so for me, it was like, okay, wait a second. I've actually myself have suffered, from depression and anxiety and of course, stress. It just seems like it's always there. And wanting to change that, it was like, okay, I have to one, like help my family with this, right? Let's stop it right here. I didn't want to accept the fact that I could possibly get this because it has run rampant, on my family tree on both sides with both grandmothers. But let's take it further with explaining to people what this looks like at a younger age with the documentary.
Right, right. We have a question. Do you think more Black women have Alzheimer's because of relaxers and the chemicals in certain hair extensions?
That's a very good question. So in my research, I also became a caregiver not only to my great aunt, but also to strangers because I was like, okay, I got to do something about this, especially for us And when I say us, I mean Black women because nobody wants to work with us, especially if we have Alzheimer's. So I had this
Right.
Black older woman, and she wore fake nails for a long time, long time. And one day, I'm there, and she's like, I cracked my nail, and I'm looking at it, and she's, explaining how painful it is. And so I, tell her adult kids, look, this is what's going on. How do you want to proceed with this? I could take her to the nail salon. I go and I take them off, and they take off all of her nails. And I'll never forget the technician pushed back so fast. All her nail beds were green.
Wow.
Years of the chemicals just piled up on her nails. So I know the question was in reference to hair and chemicals, and based off of what I observed with her, I would say that that isn't an area of study that anyone has looked into, just not yet anyway. But I could definitely see that because it's just like if you don't eat healthy, right? You'll get this disease. If you don't go to sleep, you'll get that disease. So just keeping yourself as natural as possible is always what's beneficial to your overall health.
Wow. Absolutely. Asante, during your research, what was like for me, it was the whole, 30, 40 years. What was the most shocking thing that really grabbed you? Like, what was that? OMG, are you kidding me? I never would have known this.
It was that
Okay.
exactly. I mean, at first it was like, okay, can I get this from, hereditary, right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
hereditary? And that is a risk factor, but it's not the risk factor, especially if you're taking care of yourself to derail all of that stuff, right? With proper sleep, proper exercising, just proper healthy habits on a regular basis. But to discover that this is something that you actually can be on a track for early in life, like most people, I was like, oh no, I don't have to worry about that until I'm over the age of 65, right?
Right.
No. And it made sense to me because it's once you get diagnosed, they're able to see the plaques and tangles that have built up in your brain, specifically in the hippocampus area, which is responsible for your memory. So the way I looked at that, I'm like, okay, let me break that into common sense, right? Plaques and tangles. You think about the plaque that's built up on your teeth, right? That's over
Mm-hmm.
time. It's not like, oh, I didn't brush my teeth one day and now I have a buildup of, plaques on my teeth and now I have cavities. That's over
Right.
time of you not taking care of your oral hygiene. And so it's kind of like the same thing with not taking care of your brain. These and their contributing factors come on in a number of ways, which is why I titled the documentary Puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Such a puzzling way. It's not a one size fits all. There's both my grandmothers had it, and yes, there's similarities, but there are also some distinctive differences where it's like, how did they both end up with this and died 6 months apart from one another?
Wow. Wow. So let's move into the documentary. What led, like, how do I want to phrase? So I know that you were already kind of like taking on caregiving for those that had Alzheimer's. And so it was more intriguing and learning about it. How did you go from there to, I want to do a documentary. I want to go deeper than just the caregiving and what I know from this, but of course, with documentary, there's so much research. So how did you make that transition? What did it mean for you?
Well, the more time I spent caregiving and researching, I found myself getting upset at the fact that why don't we know more about this, especially Black women, right? Just we are number one with developing this disease, and we don't know anything about it other than, oh, that's for people over the age of 65,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's when your memory fades. But it's so much more to that. And so this is going to sound so crazy, but I promise you, it's the truth. I'm like, somebody should do something about this. And I literally, like, I heard a voice, we'll call it God, right? Like, you
Right.
do something about it. And I was like, do something about. I don't have any alphabets behind my name. I didn't go to school, for this. But it was like, but look at all this research you're doing. Look at how you are a caregiver. So you're on ground zero. And most importantly, I grew up with it. So I've seen this all the stages, the beginning, the middle, the end, and starting all over again on what this looks like, especially from a cultural perspective.
Right.
Okay, I'm like having this conversation with myself or with God, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right, okay, I hear you, but I don't have any money. I don't have any resources. Like, how am I like, come on, I need a team to do this. And then my daughter, which at the time I think she was like 9 or 10, she runs into my room and she's like, Mom, look at this cool TikTok video I did, this edit. And I'm looking at the edit. I'm like, how did you do that? And she's like, I used my hand and I did this and I did that. I was like, by yourself? Okay, there's my co-producer right there.
Right.
All right, I hear you, God. I'm listening. I'm like, but what the other tools that I need for this? And it was like, don't worry about it. It's all gonna fall in place. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. And I promise you, the very first move I made, in addition to my own research, right, with my family, I still now had to interview the community, right?
Right.
I come from a more entertainment background, so it was like, how do I now tap into this medical industry with zero experience, right? You know, but they welcomed me, and it was from a support group at UCLA.
Beautiful.
I cannot remember how I even got in contact with the woman, but I talked with her. Of course, I was also in need of a support group because I was too, a caregiver. To listen to other people's stories was just heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, speaking with the director of it, told her what I wanted to do, and I interviewed her. And from there, she just like open the door to the community saying, hey, this is somebody that's doing something different. And if we're saying that we want to change some things within this community, I think we should listen to her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to read some of these comments. Priscilla, hi, mommy, says, knowing you can be on track to the disease early on is a deep concern. And yes, that's what we've been talking about. And Destiny, my daughter, she says, do you suggest for people to get bioscans for maintenance, especially for Alzheimer's? I heard bioscans can identify if there's plaque in the body. Are you familiar with any of that? Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Tamara. Thank you for joining. Do you have any information about that, Santi?
So what I would suggest is for early detection is a neurodegenerative, um, what is it called? I'm sorry. It's a neuropsychological exam. And you do that with neurologists. You can ask your primary physician, tell them, I walked in and told my primary physician, I want to take a test for Alzheimer's, right? Because after I read all this stuff, I'm like, okay, I want to get tested. And she's like, tested for Alzheimer's? Okay, I don't think that exists. And you're too young. And the more I kept expressing to her that this is what I wanted to do, I really had to like advocate for myself at that moment because she was telling me no. Meanwhile, if I was in there saying that I wanted to get some type of vaccine, she would have turned around with the syringe in her hand, ready to put it in my hand. So what I said to her was, okay, well, can you write in my chart that not necessarily that you're denying, but basically, right, that you're denying me to, get this test. And she's like, okay, well, I'll in that case, basically, right, I'll move you forward to a neurologist. I'm saying that to say it's very important to know what you're asking for when you want to get some type of examination to determine if you're on an Alzheimer's track or not. And so it is a neurological evaluation to see, where you are. It's non-invasive. It is extremely long. They ask a bunch of questions, and based on your answers, will move you into different areas. Now,
Okay.
because it is prevalent on both sides of my family, for me it was important to also get an MRI and a CT scan.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Going back to the documentary, there is culturally, we have this thing in the Black community, like what goes on in the house stays in the house. Don't be out here telling your business, all of that. Did you have any resistance or pushback from being able to interview in the Black community about Alzheimer's?
No.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no.
That is
And mainly because I am also coming from a medical point of view with this, right? With interviewing neurologists, doctors from UCLA, UCSF, Yale, um, USC, a neurologist who works closely with the NFL, who has his own practice. So they were definitely, willing to share their story. I did interview a couple of other caregivers, but this is really a story about, my journey and my experience. And when you look
Mhm.
at, these documentaries that really make an impact, it's not just because the producer decided, oh, let's talk about this. This is a great topic. It's because it has affected them personally. So there's a
Right.
passion behind me producing this documentary that isn't just to tell, inform everybody, but look, we look alike.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So on this journey of doing this documentary, what were some things that you were discovering that was impacting more of your life? Like, was there something that just made you, you know how sometimes people can do things and they go down a rabbit hole because they're learning so much? What were some of those things that it was just like heavily impacting you? Was there ever a time where you had to just kind of pause and just step back and go, okay, I need a break because it was heavy?
Absolutely. And the main thing was the information I was receiving from the different interviews, they were justifying exactly the reason why I titled the documentary Puzzle. You have, this doctor over here is saying one thing, another doctor over here is saying something differently. The research is showing different things. And it doesn't mean that one is right or wrong, but it's just different. For
Mhm.
me, it was important to make sure I captured the senses of what everyone was saying and not get so caught up in the differences, because I think the differences is what can keep organizations against one another. No, I believe this is the reason. No, I believe that is the reason. And for me, I'm like, wait a minute, this has plagued my family tree. I am not leaving not one stone unturned,
Right.
to discuss this. But at the same time, just making sure that I provide information that doesn't confuse the audience even more about what this disease is, 100-year-old disease.
I'm so glad that you made mention of that because I do feel like there are some documentaries you watch and they're so super slanted for you to only believe one way or for you to, just support this one way. So the fact that you're like, hold on, you're saying this, you're saying that, what is the not necessarily the truth, but how do we find a middle ground? How do we find more understanding? What was that like? Like, how did you get to the core of it when you're hearing these different things? How did you settle into the core of the messaging?
For me, it was, you know what? I want to push some common sense behind this, right? It just some things really made sense to me. For instance, getting proper sleep. Now, we've been knowing for years that we need to go to sleep, right?
Right.
That's a huge benefit to your overall health, but especially for your brain, because that allows your brain to rest your body and to detox your body. Like, we
Mhm.
don't realize if we don't get proper sleep. Have you ever went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And then had to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning and wondering why you're so foggy and you're tired and nothing is making sense and you're constantly apologizing for the things you're saying or not saying. You're not making any sense, right? That's
Right.
because your brain wasn't able to detox. So everything from the previous day or days or weeks or however long you haven't received proper sleep is now building up, and your brain is like, okay, this is where we at now. A B C D. Go to sleep. I pride myself on sleep and naps. I will take a nap, and I will tell my consultants that I work with, you know what? I need to take a nap right now.
Wow.
I can feel myself. My brain is overworked. I'll get back to you, even if it's 15 minutes.
Yes, my daughter taught me how to take a nap because I would always somehow call and disturb hers. And so because of that, she's like, "Mom, you just need to take a nap, like recharge, reset your day." And now I even if I don't fully fall asleep, I'm disconnected. Like
Hmm.
I'm not answering emails, I'm not answering the phone. I'm just kind of really relaxing and just taking it easy for that time. We have to go to a quick commercial break, but when I come back, I do want to ask, are have there been any studies on insomnia having an effect on Alzheimer's with that not getting sleep. And then I really want to talk about the gratitude and other ways that you can really start to help yourself right now versus when you're diagnosed later. So let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more of this interview with Asoniti Foster. All right, welcome back. I am talking with Asoniti Foster, founder and CEO of Puzzle 2020. And we are just really chatting about her research and what she found as she was going through and creating her documentary on Alzheimer's and how it affected her family. So before the commercial break, I was asking, because you were talking about the sleep part of this, have there been any research or facts of insomnia having an effect on insomnia? I'm sorry, insomnia having an effect on Alzheimer's.
Right. So there have been studies around sleep and how it affects the brain, right?
Okay.
And if we're talking about Alzheimer's, that's where Alzheimer's is affected in the brain, right? So when you think about sleep, you want to get good sleep, right? Quality sleep, not going to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have read that it's suggested to go to sleep like no later than 10 p.m. because that's when you can really get into REM sleep.
Right.
REM sleep, if your brain is really able to, again, detox itself, boost its memory, emotional intelligence, and just really start to develop brain healthy habits. I even noticed myself, and I'm sure you do as well as most people, that when you get a good night's rest, when you wake up, you feel refreshed for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's important, even though I do it sometimes when I forget to set the sleep timer, that it's also really important to turn off your TV, because when you don't, the TV is really interacting with your brain. Like I call it television,
Right.
because now the TV is actually interacting. So that's preventing you from really getting good rest. And it's really, really important.
Right. And also we can look at it like this. Again, providing some common sense to my research and just making it real simple for people to understand so that it's not so puzzling. Think about a baby, right? When a baby is a newborn, they sleep all the time. And during that sleep, their brain is doing what? Developing.
Yep.
A baby that's staying up all day isn't strengthening itself, right? That's the whole point of sleep, is development.
Right.
For some
Absolutely.
reason, after we graduate from high school or college, right, it's just work, 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 work.
Yep. And you sleep as less as possible, but also so many people take their entire day with them to sleep,
Mhm.
before and I've said this in different workshops that I facilitated or in coaching sessions. When you take your entire day with you to bed and lay it on your pillow, you're just laying and sleeping with your day, as opposed to doing something to release and let go of the day so that you can really get rest. So that's a great way to segment into the gratitude, because I really like talking to people about mind dumping before they go to sleep, and thinking and writing down like 3 things that they're grateful for just in that day. So, for those of you who don't know, and you do need to go to puzzle2020.com. Hey, Mika, thank you for joining. Um, Asante is going to talk about her gratitude bank as well as the gratitude journals that she has created, what they mean and why. And for those of you who are attending the 2023 Shenomenal Women's Brunch, she has donated items for the raffle. So make sure you are at the brunch or the retreat. There's the brunch information. But Asante, talk about the gratitude part of this. How did you develop? Like, what was the meaning behind, let me do a gratitude journal, let me do a gratitude bank, because I thought this was just brilliance. But I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of shooting the documentary, right? We're about
Mhm.
2.5, 3 years in, and the pandemic hit. And in my opinion, it placed everyone on an Alzheimer's track, right? Because now we're all mentally constipated, whether like stress, anxiety, depression. Like we are just in a state of fear, which weakens the immune system and definitely can help put you on an Alzheimer's track because now you're not thinking properly, right? You can't solve any problems properly because we're living in the unknown times at that time.
Right.
Like everybody, my daughter and I too were suffering, and I never forget, my daughter came into my office and she's like, she's crying and she's like, I want to go back to in-person school. It was like a mental breakdown, you know?
Mhm.
For me to see that, like, it's one thing for us as adults, right? Or for me to have a mental breakdown. It's like, okay, I've experienced life. Maybe I can afford it sometimes. Shouldn't, right? But before my teenager, right? And I
Right.
want to say at the time she was 12, right? 11. For her to say that was like, okay, we have to do something about this because we can't go out like this. We have been through way too much to now go out like this. And so in my research, I remember reading a book from Dr. Dale Bredesen. He wrote The End of Alzheimer's. Great read for anybody out there wanting to really learn more about his protocol and how he has successfully reversed Alzheimer's. I've also interviewed him for the documentary. But in his book, he had mentioned something about being grateful. And
Come a little bit closer to your mic.
okay, can you hear me
There we go.
now? Okay.
Yes.
And also, just in a lot of self-help books, they talk about being grateful. And so I typed in, mental happiness, right? And gratitude came up a couple of times where I was like, let me really start exploring this. And I don't have anything else to lose, right? But my
Right.
mind, and I'm not trying to lose that. And so, okay, writing down what you're grateful for, like, it sounds so ridiculous, right? Because of course you're grateful, right? Like, and when I started doing it with my daughter, it felt like we had won the lotto. And trust me, no extra millions had came into the house, but our mind definitely felt lighter. We weren't so heavy. We knew how to float, and be productive throughout the day. And I'm like, about 2 weeks in, I'm thinking, what are we doing differently around here? Because I couldn't quite pinpoint it, right? I'm like,
Right.
is we're eating, we're still doing the same thing. Like, it's not like some great news have hit us because we're constantly being told, oh, we don't know what's going on with the pandemic. And then I had to stop for a second. I realized, wait a minute, it's me writing that, another aha moment, right? It's the us writing down what we're grateful for. Oh my God. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let me be still so I can hear what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I come from a generation of or community of what you learn, you teach.
Right.
Okay, how do I share this and make it make sense for everybody involved? And so I started toying with the idea of, okay, should it be glass? Because you see the gratitude jars out, and you think, okay, nah, and then I was like, but that wouldn't work for kids. And this works so well for my daughter. I mean, her whole perspective on life completely changed for the better. Straight A's during the moment where kids were like not even showing up, right? And all
Right.
you do is turn your camera on. And I'm like, okay, we got to get this into the schools. How can we get this into just to everybody? And so, after testing it a couple of times, we landed on this. This is our mail version, the Gratitude Bank. And you open it here. It comes with the pen, with stylus, 50 grateful cards, blank. So, like, we're giving you no reasons to do this. You don't have to look for a pen, look for paper, none of that.
It's all there.
Right. And with our patent, what we put on here was a QR code that will take you to meditation music to provide optimal mental wellness support. To really calm you down but lift your spirits while you're doing this. We initially started off with the banks, and they had done so well with us selling out twice during our first year. It was like, okay, but the feedback was like people wanted to be able to travel with it. And this is good to put into your suitcase, no doubt. It's definitely durable. But to have something just a little bit easier, right? That's right there with you. That's how we came out with the journals. And I didn't want to present again, there's a bunch of different gratitude journals out there, and I think that
Right.
I didn't want to duplicate that. I wanted something that was a little different. So again, making sure that we, had options here, right? With the pen, the pad, the color tabs, the sticky notes, and again, our signature and patent protected meditation music, just so that people can really get a bang for their buck too.
Right.
know?
Exactly. Exactly. What did you learn over time of gratitude? How did it relate to Alzheimer's?
What I learned is that what it helps to do is increase neuroplasticity, which in essence means that you are rewiring your brain to think on a more positive track and help to kind of uh, eliminate some of the plaques and buildup that can come on with stress, depression, anxiety. This is scientifically proven because that was the other thing. Like, okay, it's one thing to tell people this really works. We've been saying this for years too. But when I looked at the research, especially behind Dr. Edmonds out of UC Davis, he discusses his studies on how this has really changed people's lives for the better. And there's
Right.
like we significantly reduce stress, depression, anxiety. I'm witness of that. Other people have been witness of that. Here's the biggest key though. You have to do this. It will not work if you don't. So you can't just write it down today and just be like, okay, this is gonna work for the rest of my life. You have to be consistent. This is a healthy habit that we want to encourage people to use on a regular basis. And sometimes I'm writing mine 2 or 3 times. This has been so effective. My teenager, and teenagers, they always want to go against you, right? You could be like, it's raining outside and it's really raining, and they'll be like, no, it's not. You know,
Right.
that's my teenager too. But when my teenager told me, because I was going off one day, right? We get frustrated still, right? And she's like, "Did you write down what you were grateful for? Because your whole energy right now and your vibe, like, I just don't agree. You need to go and write down what you're grateful for." And I'm like,
Right. She brought it back.
yes, yes. But she was right. And then after I write down, I've been doing this for so long now, I really feel an immediate difference when I haven't done it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are so we have the gratitude, we have the gratitude bank, the gratitude journal. Um, which that's I when you and I talked, I said this. I love it because this is something that I talk about all the time. Like gratitude really is everything. And especially for getting off track just a tiny bit, like for parents who have kids that seemingly feel ungrateful sometimes, I would do a poster board on the wall, and every day for 30 days, they would have to write down what they were grateful for in that day. And by the end of that 30 days, trust me, kids will see just how much they actually have. And you're right, it's a feeling that you get, and there's a joy in really understanding, like, damn, I really have so much just right here before I go out and purchase anything or do anything. There's so much that I can love on and have right here in my presence. So I love the bank is so cute. And I love that it gives children the opportunity to write something down and go back. And then I don't know if you encourage it. I'm sure you do, but going back and reading those,
Absolutely.
and just remembering that feeling of that blessing or that gratefulness that you have in that moment. But Asante, what are some other exercises that people can do to really help them not be so on the path of Alzheimer's? Like, what are some brain activity? What are maybe some physical activities? What are some activities, exercises that people can do?
Well, I want to add to something you said in regards to, writing down what you're grateful for. It's important to note that the physical act of writing it down is what makes the biggest difference. Not texting it, not typing it, not even thinking about it and keeping it in your mind. It literally writing it down is what makes the biggest difference. And what I noticed is that when you start to write it down, what on a regular basis, what you're grateful for, you feel good. And when you feel good, you start looking good, right?
Mhm.
Because now you have this energy to exercise. We've been telling people to exercise and eat right for years, right? But it's a mental thing. You have
Right.
to want to do that. For me, it was okay, do I sit here and binge watch XYZ show? Or do I do 30 minutes worth of exercises right now, right? In my mind, okay, you know what? I'm feeling good. I have the energy. Let me exercise. So
Hmm.
exercising is key, and what people have to understand is I'm not necessarily saying exercise to lose weight. I mean, if that's what the journey is for anyone, so be it. But what I'm speaking more about with exercising is so that you can get that blood flowing and get fresh oxygen to your brain, because that's what blood carries, right? Is oxygen, and that fresh oxygen helps to cleanse your brain. Because when you brush your teeth, you have toothpaste, right? When you wash your hands, you have soap. Well, your brain has oxygen. But if you have a sedentary lifestyle, meaning you're not doing anything, how is the oxygen getting to your brain? It's not.
Right.
So I encourage people to exercise, even if it's 15 minutes a day, right? 15 minutes can save your life. Of course, drinking water, you know,
Hmm.
choose eliminating sugar, salt, saturated fat, more fruits and vegetables, especially greens, more brain healthy foods. I am a fan of blueberries. I love them. Everything about blueberries, they work for me. Um, Going outside, like, and not in the car, but like going outside and
Light.
say hello to the sun, get some fresh vitamin D. You know? Doing that, of course, going to sleep, getting 8 hours, and being mindful of the time of day you're going to sleep. Though all of the things that we've been saying, here's how I like to put it again, going to my common sense. Everything you did as a child, right? I don't know about anyone here, but I know I didn't stay up until 10 o'clock on Tuesday night when I was 10.
Mm-mm.
No, no,
No, we
no.
had to go to bed.
And we would probably sleep by then, but we got ready for
Right.
bed. So we don't get ready for bed anymore. We took a bath, right? You eat dinner, maybe go over your stuff, maybe watch the Cosby's, you know. But after that,
Exactly.
you hopping in the tub, you are putting your pajamas on, whatever you need to do to your hair. You are getting ready for bed. We're not getting ready for bed anymore. We just passing
It's
out.
never good. You just go. And that's so true because I can't remember what I was watching. But there was a teenager, I think, and she was saying like she could never get to sleep. She would just get in the bed and of course scroll on her phone. And so it was about creating that routine that's telling your mind, telling your brain, telling your body, oh, you're getting ready for bed. So if every day, like you said, we ate dinner, we may have watched a show, we had our bath, we got in the bed, our bodies knew the routine and it prepared itself for that sleep, right? We do have a question. How would you speak on multitasking in reference to brain function?
I would say take one step at a time. Like, we can't do everything all at once. Like, it's unnecessary at the end of the day. Prioritize what it is you need to do to get through the day, because at the end of it all, we all know what we're going to do in the very end of our existence, right? I'm not
Right.
in a rush to get there. I'm not trying to push that any faster by trying to do a bunch of
Ooh,
different things so that I could no longer be here to enjoy what I've been working on.
you might need to repeat that because there's probably some people out in other countries that didn't just hear that. She said she is not trying to get there any faster. So, why are you guys doing things that are really speeding up your quality of health right now?
Right.
It's major. John, hey, Johnny says expressing gratitude is akin to regifting the kindness that was gifted to you.
Absolutely. Look, I believe there are different levels of gratitude, right? There's
Mhm.
definitely thanking other people for what they have done, what they have given, or whatever that is, right? And then there's also you know, I'm grateful for a roof over my head, right? For food in the refrigerator, for money in my account, for my family, for God, for friends, right? And then there's another level where you're thankful and grateful for the things that you don't even have, right? Almost like you're helping to manifest it. I'll share this
Yes.
quick story. My daughter bought this guinea pig. She wanted it so bad, and I was like, okay, all your money, you can do whatever you want. You want a guinea pig, you take care of it. So she's like, I want another one. I'm like, you're not getting another one. One is enough. That'll work. So we go out of town for 2 weeks, and we come back, and the guinea pig is giving birth to three more guinea pigs. And she's
Wow.
like, Mom, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for your gratitude bank. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, I was writing down that I was grateful for another guinea pig.
So y'all didn't know y'all had brought a pregnant one.
Did not know. And keep in mind, the pet store owner would have never sold us a pregnant guinea pig because that's how she make her money.
Right.
So she didn't even know. It was so I went back to the store and I was like, "Did you know that this guinea was pregnant?" But my daughter, I love that testimony from her because she feels like she was a part of, helping to manifest that. And
Yes, she was.
and exactly, and because words are powerful, right? And again,
Right.
staying on the positive track is what expressing gratitude helps you to do. I myself have written down things, and I'm like, that came true.
Yeah.
You know, grateful for what I couldn't see, but believing that it was.
It was already in, yes, because gratitude, showing gratitude for the things that you want in life, and it really puts you on a path of already receiving it. Because if you think you can have it, if it's already a thought in your mind, that means it's available to you. So showing gratitude for already having it, it just really, like, now you're on this path to receive it. So you're going to get there if you do believe it. Like you said, there's no way this woman would have sold her a guinea pig that was pregnant. That was her money. Exactly. Wow.
Right, right. And you saying that, it's just like, so now when you start writing down what you're grateful for, I'm like, I'm grateful for a beating heart,
Hmm.
right? So that will be done. I'm grateful
Yes.
for two eyes, to have vision for the plan of the day.
Right.
But being a lot more specific in what you're grateful for, yes, for other people, but also for the things that you want to continue having, right? I'm grateful for two legs.
Yes. Yes, this is how I keep moving forward in life.
Yes,
Like you do, you have to be specific. Absolutely. Asante, this has been such an incredibly informative episode. Like you brought a lot of knowledge. I hope people were taking notes. If not, just watch the replay. Just watch the replay. But so tell us a couple of things. Number one, how we can support, how we can follow you, how we can watch the documentary, and how we can get our own gratitude bank and journal.
okay. Well, you can learn more about me and my business at my website, puzzle2020.com. I also have an Amazon store, and right now we have a special pricing on our Father's Day Gratitude Bank and Gratitude Journal. And you can type in Puzzle 2020 in the Amazon search. Please feel free to follow us, which is, a big support, like all of it, on our social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, which is also Puzzle 2020.
Yes, beautiful. And where can we watch the documentary?
So we are wrapping up production for that now, right? Because the pandemic didn't only put us all on track for Alzheimer's, making us mentally constipated, but it also paused production for us, right?
Okay.
Because everyone's like, we don't know what's going on, and how do we continue moving forward with these interviews? So we're finally getting to the point where we're ready to wrap it up. And I'm claiming this right now and writing it down in my gratitude bank and journal that it will be released the month of November this year on a streaming platform. Because November is the official Alzheimer's Awareness Month for the country.
Okay. All right. So I am holding that space with you. and bringing that into existence. Okay, so my power holders and space holders, she wants the documentary released. Not she wants. The documentary will be released in November on a streaming platform. That is what we are holding space for. It you said it, you wrote it in your gratitude journal, you put it in your gratitude bank. It is done. In November, we will see the documentary.
Yes. We need
Absolutely.
advertising for it.
Yes. Please, by all means, keep us posted. Let us know because I'm sure everybody watching is going to be so ready to watch that and learn so much more. I'm incredibly grateful that you were a yes to being on She Is Shenomenal. Is so evident that you are just such a beautiful and phenomenal woman. And thank you for choosing to share your personal experiences with the world and diving in deeper to create this documentary to bring a broader awareness. Because what I learned today is that it starts about 30 to 40 years prior to the actual diagnosis, and that Black women are at the highest risk of getting it. So that right there, just taking those two nuggets means a lot to me. So thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations to you on everything you have going on.
Thank you.
The completion of your 10-week workshop, I thought that was just awesome.
Thank you so much. It was really incredible. But thank you all for joining us today. We will be back next week. I am chatting with Regina Weatherspoon Bell. She is one of the Shenomenal co-authors, and we're going to talk about life after 40, reinventing yourself after 40, starting over after 40. Because a lot of people have this thing like, oh, well, I'm too old for this, or I can't do this, or it's too late for me. But no, you still have a whole lot of life to live, and you can really start anew after 40. And we'll talk about that next week. So you guys have a beautiful Shenomenal or Phenomenal week, and I'll see you guys back here next Wednesday. Bye.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyro Media Network's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit pyromedianetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. Help us keep igniting brands everywhere.